CEDH time. I'm Braden, and this is going to be talking about the top 10 decks in the format for CEDH tournaments. Of course, all backed by evidence. It might be anecdotal, but evidence nonetheless. I'm just joking there. These are all my opinions. All right, bracket 4 and bracket 5. No restrictions other than the ban list. So here we're going to get a melding pot or a whirlpool of decks that are playing in CEDH tournaments, whether it's like online tournaments, in person, local game store, spell table casual games. You're going to be having a whirlpool of decks here because they both have no restrictions. Now, what are the differences? Decks that are turbocharged with the most powerful cards in the format, everybody intends to win and is ready to play against anything. So if you like optimize a Savala, okay, it can hold itself in a CEDH game. It can win, right? But it's not meta defining. It is an optimized, turbocharged, powerful deck that's ready to win and play against anything, but it might not be able to handle anything. It might not be able to really interact as much as you would want in a CEDH meta-defining deck. But it's still a powerful deck that can get good results. Now we go over here to bracket 5. Decks are built to win in the competitive metagame. So right there, we have to find out what is the competitive metagame for CEDH. And then players intend to only use the most powerful strategies within that meta game. All right, so first meta game, meta defining deck is the Gaia's Cradle decks. Thrasios Rog, Thrasios Yoshi. So these decks win by using Finale Devastation, Fairy Mastermind, decking everybody out, Green Sun Zenith to make it to where you never get decked out by Teferi Mastermind. So, the little 2-card combo here, and then the 1-card combo here with Infinite Mana with Thrasios. That's like the way the deck actually wins. However, it doesn't just like play that turn too. It like slowly occurs value over the course of the game, where you're getting basically paper cut to death. Like, okay, it's going to play this card, pretty good value, but not good enough to like interact with it, not good enough to really like stop it yet. By the time it's good enough to stop it, it's like too late. That's what this deck's meant to do. Kind of slip under the radar, and then you're like living the best Thrasios life you can possibly have. Now, I prefer to play Yoshi Thrasios because you have access to all the silence effects and Smothering Tithe. Permission Denied, by the way, is a really good card. You guys should try running it in your decks. If you're running Esper Good Stuff, Permission Denied is amazing. And this deck does not have a shortage of mana, so you'll be all right. Underworld Breach in Rog Thras, I put it in mine. However, in most Rog Thras deck lists, it's not even there. It does not make the cut for a lot of people. Same with Gut Shot. A lot of times, these 3 cards are the only 3 red cards in the Thras Rog deck list. So that's why I kind of go towards Yoshi. However, they both do well, and they both do good things. Next, meta-defining deck are the government decks. This is the Timnacron Blue Farm, the Marnius Esper Good Stuff, the Tivit Esper Good Stuff. Okay, Stacks decks. I cut out the S. Tax decks, because Stacks decks are ass. Don't let new players convince you otherwise. They're not good. The only good Stacks pieces, just to talk about it real quick, is like Cursed Totem right now, and the the flute that flashes in. Because of the meta, you can pick a Stacks piece that fits that meta that we're in. So because the meta that we're in right now currently is so heavy with creature activations, that Cursed Totem becomes a playable card for decks that have an open slot for it. I would not just throw this into every single deck that you're trying to optimize in a bracket 4 deck or in a CEDH deck. This is meta defining. These combination of cards, meta defining. You're having Smothering Tithe, the Heuristic Study. Do you pay the 1? Do you pay the 2? You have your Fish. Do you pay the 4? You have the, hey, I'm going to search my library. Cool. Well, since you searched, I'm going to go ahead and get my life and draw a card. You play 2 spells. This is set up to basically tax everything anyone wants to do. Oh, cool. You want to play 2 cards? Boom, Lotho trigger. You want to draw 2 cards? Boom, Teferi Mastermind trigger. Oh, you want to draw a card? Now you're going to lose a life because I have an opposition agent. Oh, you just want to go search the library for a card? Well, I have an opposition agent, so now it's mine. Also, this deck can win at instant speed on top of the stack. The Oracle Consultation combos. And if that isn't enough, it can use Praetor's Grasp to take your win con out of your deck to win with it themselves. So this is pure meta right now, currently in 2025. This is meta, as well as the deck we just previously saw. Next one, we're gonna have Turbo meta. You have Rog Thras, you have Ral, you have Thrasios and Timna or TNT. These decks are super meta. These are meta defining decks. All right, now we're gonna go to the Flips, Search, and Damage decks. These decks are also meta defining. Vivi, not so much. I did throw it in here. We don't really know exactly where it lands, but you see why a Cursed Totem's pretty good. It stops 3 of these. It does not stop Yuriko, which is why Yuriko is a top 10 deck right now. Spoiler alert. Yuriko is definitely a top 10 deck. For those who know, they know. All right, we're gonna continue. Next one, Bracket 4, Optimized. These decks are not meta defining decks. I'm not building my decks thinking to myself, okay, I'm going to probably go against a Lumra and I'm going to go against a Godo, right? Oh man, I got to watch out for that Savala player. No, these are decks that are optimized, can win tournaments, can win games, can do great things, but they're not winning in like the meta defining way. The meta defining way right now is like mid range hell. These are not really doing that. Itali, fantastic deck. Bracket 4, optimized dinosaur. Now, I call these players the gaslight players. Everybody who plays these cards are gaslighting. Oh, I'm not going to win the game here. I'm just going to cast a Tali. Like, okay. I'm not going to win here. I'm just going to activate Magna once. All right. So these decks are everybody intends to win and everybody's ready to play against anything, but they can't really stop or interact other players at the table who are trying to win the game with a more of a CEDH mindset as easily as one of the optimized decks can. All right, so CEDH meta, Cradle decks. They want to get 6+ mana turn 2. That's what they want. That's their goal. Then they find a win after that. The Turbo decks, they want to win before they tax you, or if you get to the point where you're at mid-range hell, you have to win over the top of somebody else winning. That's the Turbo decks. Then you have the optimized gaslighting decks, like the ones I told you, the Magda, the Itali, the Lumra decks. Those are the gaslighting decks. And then you have the government decks, the meta-defining, super, super powerful decks. As for blue stuff, Timocrom, Smothering Tithe, Bristic Study, Mirror Maid, Steel Enchantment, Copy Enchantment. You're taking these resources, you're trying to hog as much of the resources as possible at the table and utilize on everybody's triggers and on everybody's plays and casts and spells. You want something on your board to be triggering so you can also occur value on other people's turns. Okay, that's the meta right now. When you're talking about bracket 4, you don't really care too much about turn order. In CEDH, it's massive. Your mulligans are different. How many cards you want to go down to are different. The type of hands you're able to keep in seat 1 versus seat 4 are completely different. Understanding that you have a higher chance to draw the game if you're not in seat 1 than you do in seat 1. You have almost 25% chance of winning here, almost a 20% here, 17 here, and a 14 here. So knowing kind of if you're playing in the meta and what you're playing and where you're seeding does determine what your goals are in that CEDH tournament. And that's where a lot of the complication starts to happen between bracket 4 and bracket 5, where you might have someone in seat 4 trying to force a draw when the seat 1 player is a Magda or an Atali, and they're like, I don't want to go to a draw. Like, I just want to try to flip my dinosaur over. And so, like, you might have a seat 2 Timna Crom, and the seat 4 player is able to stop it, but he's like, I don't want to just king make the Atali, and it gets really awkward. Which is why I think draws are skilled. I think draws is a skill thing. I think it's bad that tournaments are just agreeing to go to a draw before the match is played. I think it's weird, but I do think that draws are done right do have some skill by different players in the board. And when I'm playing and I win a game, I want people to try to stop me with everything they have. I want someone to cast a pact if they can, because if they can convince the table to go to a draw and get a point for it or not lose, then that's better than losing. And I don't want to win because a player held back something. I'm playing top end Magic. I want you to exhaust all your resources, and I want to beat you on top of that. So that's my mindset, at least. But understanding the turn order and the importance of that and mulligans, very, very, very important. If you want to get more in depth with that, talk to me. Leave some comments in the comments. We can talk on Discord, play some games, discuss it more in depth. But for now, we're going to move on. Meta tips. So this is where things get a little dicey between bracket 4 and bracket 5. This is where arguments on spell table happen. This is where arguments in person happen. Decks are built to win in the competitive metagame. Players intend to use only the most powerful strategies. Now, we're going to talk about that second part. Intend to use the most powerful strategies. So I'm all in favor of mana bullying. I'm priority bullying, um, sandbagging, interaction, ultimatums, because those strategies are how you beat the current meta right now. Let's say Marnius has 6 treasures, and um, Marnius and the Thrasios have been drawing cards, and they can't quite get a win yet. They've been kind of stopping each other here and there, and the Kennen's in an okay spot, but not really that great. It's Ral's turn right now, and he's trying to go for a win. Okay, and Marnius is like, I can't do anything here. I'm gonna pass turn. And then the Kennen's like, well, I have a force of will, but I don't really want to play it because you have 6 treasures. You're drawing a bunch of cards on everything that's cast. You have a grip in your hand. Kennen's over here with 4 cards. Thrasios has a grip in his hand. Kennen needs to get something from the table here. It is in his benefit as a strategy to make sure if Marnius gets a turn, it's going to cost him whether or not he's interacting. So I would be like, if it was truly in a situation where Marnius could not interact here and we were going to lose the game, I'd be like, all right, Marnius, crack your 6 treasures and activate your commander and do your thing. And draw your card. Exhaust all of your resources. I am not going to interact unless you exhaust your resources. Because what you don't want to do is king make and just pass the turn over to Marnius to win the game with all these treasures and all these cards in hand. That feels horrible. Just to like stop one player in seat 4 that only has a 14% chance of winning just to give it to the seat 1 player. It's horrible. So, same with Thrasios. Hey, Thrasios, you have 9 cards in your hand. I could stop him. His turn would end. I don't want you to draw any more cards, though. So if I cast a spell, you're saying you don't have any interaction. Will you reject the May trigger and not draw a card if I cast a spell? If he says no, you say, okay, then I'll pass priority. You can deal with the Ral. That strategy sounds harsh, sounds a little aggressive. It's required when you're going against these Smothering Tithe decks. You need them for you to be interacting. They got to pay you. They got to be cracking their treasures. Okay? The last thing you want to do is be interacting to save them so they can win on their turn. Not happening. Okay? So, this mindset of using the top end strategies here to win the game not only has to do with cards that you're playing, has to do with how you approach the way you approach the table with politics. Okay, massive difference than an optimized deck where the Atali player is like, I just want to cast my dinosaur, and then the Magnus player is like, I just want to tap dwarves. You know, like they don't care. They're just sitting there playing their optimized, where we're sitting here trying to play CEDH. Now, if this upsets you or bothers you, you're probably a bracket 4 player, but you know, this is just my opinion. So it's all good. I'm just some dude in his basement recording a video. All right, this is my top 10 decks for CEDH. My main point, though, about this whole situation is that this type of thing is important, and this type of thing is done at the top end of CEDH tournaments for a reason. Like, it's, yeah, anyway. This is my top 10 list right here. You have TNT, you have Tivit, Kennen, Ral, Yurko, you have Rogsai, you have Timnacrom, Marnius, Timnayoshi, or Rog, and then you have the best deck, of course, the deck I prefer playing the most, which is Silas and Krark. So, of course, like my deck that I say is my deck, it's not my deck. I don't own the IP. It's just a deck that I prefer playing. I have no way rights to it. I do not. I hate so cringe for like, this is my deck. I designed it. I reinvented Timnacrom. Is so good now because I the one who shaped. Yeah, dude, all that's bullshit. People are saying that. It just sounds so cringe. So I never like try to say this is like my deck list. I own it. Not a thing. But this is what I prefer playing out of all these decks. I understand that it's not meta defining. No one's sitting here saying, okay, I need to make sure X, Y, or Z because this correct Silas deck is going to come in to play. Nope, I don't have Ristic Study. I mean, I don't have Smothering Tithe. I do have Ristic Study, so it can be considered a top end or a CDH deck in my head because it is a meta defining deck. Has meta-defining winning strategies. It plays some of the most optimized cards in the game. It's very fun. Underworld Breach combos. But yeah, these are what I think are the top 10 decks right now in the format. So I guess like, comment, subscribe. Tell me why I'm wrong. What would you put in your rank 1? What would you put in your top 5? What would you put in your top 10? I kind of want to know. I kind of want to know. So in my head, you have the turbo decks. You know, you have turbo, turbo, turbo. 3 turbo decks. You have the flips decks, 1, 2. Then you have another turbo deck right here, 3. So 3 turbo decks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 turbo, 4-ish turbo decks. Mine could be turbo or mid range. And then you have the flip decks, 2 of those. And you have the Esper Good Stuff / Blue Farm decks as well. So let me know what you guys think your top 10 decks are, and see you guys in the comments.